There is something deeply strange about the moment happiness finally arrives and you destroy it. Not because you wanted to, not because you're careless, but because something inside you, older than memory, quieter than a whisper, sends an alarm the moment life starts to feel too good. And you've been here before, you know you have. Maybe it was a relationship that was finally safe and somehow you found a way to make it unsafe. Maybe it was a season of peace and you picked the fight, sent the message, pulled the trigger on something you didn't need to touch. Maybe it was God moving and instead of receiving it, you found a reason it wasn't real. Have you ever stopped to ask why? Not what happened, why you keep walking away from the exact things you've been asking God for. Because what most people call self-sabotage isn't a bad habit, it isn't a character flaw, and it isn't spiritual weakness. It is a compass calibrated by pain, pointing you away from your own peace. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how that compass got broken, what it's silently doing to your life right now, and what God actually does to fix it. Not your behavior, something far deeper than that. Stay with me, because the last thing I'm going to say is the one thing your soul has needed to hear for a long time. Picture a child growing up in a home where love had conditions, where peace was always temporary, where the people who were supposed to stay, left or stayed, but in a way that felt like leaving. In that environment, the nervous system doesn't develop on schedule. It adapts. It learns survival. It absorbs what love feels like in that specific house, unpredictable, earned, dangerous, and it builds an internal compass around that experience. And here's what no one ever tells you: that compass doesn't disappear when you walk out the door. It travels with you into every relationship, every prayer, every quiet moment where something genuinely good is trying to reach you. So when real love walks in, when peace shows up that isn't demanding anything, your compass doesn't recognize it as safe. It reads north and points toward chaos. It reads love and points toward what love felt like back then. That is the self-destructive pattern. You're not sabotaging happiness because you hate it. You're sabotaging it because your internal compass says it doesn't belong to you. This shows up in three ways most people never trace back to their emotional wounds. The first is emotional unavailability disguised as strength. You call it independence, protecting your energy, being wise. But underneath that self-reliance is a child who learned that needing someone always ends in pain. So when someone genuinely safe shows up, you hold them at arm's length, convince yourself the distance is healthy, and then wonder why you feel completely alone inside a relationship that should have healed you. Your compass calls closeness dangerous, so you sabotage it before it can hurt you first. The second is perfectionism as a form of self-punishment. You stay productive, you achieve. You stay useful because somewhere in your formation, your soul absorbed a message. Your value is what you produce. But the emptiness doesn't disappear with the next accomplishment because you're not building something. You're earning the right to exist. When God sends rest, when He sends grace with no task attached to it, your compass reads it as failure. So you find something to fix, something to justify your presence. The third and the most invisible is leaving before you can be left. Something beautiful is right there. A friendship forming, a door of opportunity opening, a genuine movement of God in your life, and you find a reason it can't be real. You make yourself smaller before anyone can shrink you. You end at first just to be in control of the ending. Because your compass learned in the most formative years of your life that good things never stay, so you ensure they don't. Here is where I need to say something important. You didn't choose this. A child does not program their own compass. They receive calibration from the environment they're placed in. If love in your home was absent, conditional, or painful, your nervous system did exactly what it was designed to do. It learned. And what it learned is the reason you keep walking away from the things you've been begging God for. This is not a character flaw. This is not spiritual weakness. This is a compass calibrated by someone else's brokenness, quietly giving you directions ever since. But here is the truth that changes everything. The compass can be recalibrated. There is a pattern in Scripture rarely connected to emotional healing, what the Bible itself calls the spirit of adoption. Romans 8:15 makes a distinction so precise it can feel almost clinical. You did not receive the spirit of fear again, leading to slavery, but the spirit of adoption by which you cry out, Abba, Father. There is a profound difference between knowing God as a concept and experiencing God as Father, present, consistent, safe, specific to you. And the broken compass cannot process that kind of love because it's never encountered it. So when God moves toward you through peace, through provision, through a season of genuine stillness, something panics beneath the surface. Not in words, not consciously, but the compass doesn't know what to do with a love that doesn't eventually leave. And so the familiar response kicks in, subtle but real. You pull back from the prayer. You find reasons to doubt the season. You keep God at the same arm's length you keep everyone else, close enough to say you believe, far enough that His love never lands somewhere deep enough to reorganize you. Maybe that's where you are right now. On the edge of something good and feeling that familiar pull to dismantle it. That quiet voice saying, "This is too much. You're going to ruin it anyway. Get out now." That voice is not wisdom. It's a broken compass reading from poisoned ground. And the hardest truth is this: you cannot think your way out of a calibration error. You cannot discipline your way into a new identity. Self-awareness, as powerful as it is, can name the pattern, but it cannot replace the root. What is required is something you may have never been given permission to receive. God's healing of self-sabotage is not behavioral. He is not correcting your decision-making. He is not handing you a list of patterns to dismantle. He is not asking you to try harder at happiness. He is replacing the compass. And He does it through one specific, relentless, disorienting experience: being fathered. Not taught, not corrected, fathered. Accompanied in the places you hide. Return to specifically, persistently, even after you've done the very thing you always do. Seen not despite the self-sabotage, but directly in the middle of it. Psalm 34:18 says He is close to the brokenhearted, not to the improved, not to the disciplined, not to those who have finally figured it out. The broken. In that nearness, not through a formula, not through performance, but through genuine encounter, something begins to shift at a depth no discipline alone can reach. You begin, slowly, to feel safe. And when a soul begins to feel safe in the Father's presence, the compass starts to reorient, not all at once, but the needle moves. The person whose compass is being recalibrated doesn't become someone without wounds. They become someone whose wounds are no longer giving the directions. They can stay in something good not because they've mastered their emotions, but because they've begun to believe they're allowed to. They can receive love without destroying it first. They can sit inside peace without scanning for the threat hiding behind it. They can look at a season of provision and think, maybe this is for me. Maybe I'm the kind of person God does good things for. That is not arrogance. That is what Romans 8 calls the spirit of adoption. That is what it sounds like when a soul stops operating like an orphan and starts trusting that the Father's house is actually home. The question I want to leave you with isn't about your behaviors. It's about your compass. Who calibrated it? Whose voice defined what you deserve? Who was narrating the moment peace arrived and whispered, "This isn't for you"? That voice was never God's. There's something He wants you to know, not in a theological, abstract way, specifically about the version of you that keeps walking away from good things, about the part of you that is still a child standing in that house, waiting for someone to stay. He already did, He does. And He is not waiting for you to get it right before He comes close. Learning to let that be real, slowly, imperfectly, one moment of trust at a time, that is what breaking free from self-destructive patterns actually looks like. Not overnight, not without fear, but real. And you're already closer than you think.